In 2017, Skydance Productions announced it would launch a division to produce animated features, and then a few years later hired John Lasseter to run it. It has been a rocky number of years of a distribution deal with Paramount being dissolved and Apple bailing after one film. That one film was Luck, which I found rather underwhelming. However, I never wrote them off and remained curious what the studio would make next. Skydance Animation's second feature, Spellbound, is now on Netflix, and has a decent amount of pedigree, as it's directed by Vicky Jensen, who previously directed Shrek, and features songs written by Alan Menken and Glenn Slater. Unfortunately, Spellbound did almost nothing for me. The concept of a princess dealing with her parents turning into monsters and trying to keep it a secret from the kingdom has potential. However, the execution left a lot to be desired. The movie is set in this fantasy world, but nothing about it stood out to me or particularly amazed me. The characters all feel underwritten, including the lead protagonist, Princess Elian, who does not seem to develop much of a personality. That made it difficult to care about her and her attempts to reverse the spell, and there's a surprising lack of imagination or creativity in several places they visit, and even in the creature designs. Spellbound does not have a villain, with the closest thing to an antagonist being the captain of the guards, who gives chase after Elian and the transformed parents. Although, like everyone else, she did not leave much of an impression. It also makes no sense why she was not told the parents have been turned into monsters. Feels like important information for the captain of the guards to know. Elian is given this gerbil-like creature as a cute animal sidekick, and that's it. It's just a cute animal sidekick, which they eventually used for a body swap subplot that was not nearly as funny as the filmmakers thought it was. Speaking of the humor, the film mostly relies on tired physical comedy and other bits that land with a thud. I just sat there in silence through the entire runtime, and what makes that doubly surprising is that there are these two magical oracles voiced by Titus Burgess and Nathan Lane. Even they did not elicit a chuckle out of me. I think Nathan Lane is one of the funniest actors around, and if he shows up in something, I'm at least going to smile. But not here. Congratulations, Spellbound, you have achieved the impossible. As for the Menken and Slater songs, I found those to be surprisingly underwhelming too. The songs they wrote for Tangled and Gallivant are great, and I even have a fondness for the Home on the Range soundtrack. But their contributions to Spellbound are not even close to their best work, and I've already forgotten them. A comical number sung by John Lithgow is one that would never even move past the demo stage if it was pitched at Disney. I will admit I did like Elian's I Want song titled The Way It Was Before. That's a really nice song, beautifully sung by Rachel Zegler in the film and by Lauren Spencer Smith in the end credits. The animation is nice and visually pleasing, although not all that different from most computer animated films you see nowadays. As routine and uninteresting as I found the story, there was one sequence I found quite creative. Elian and her parents wind up in a cave where their positive and negative words are visually represented by glowing orbs and lightning bolts. That was a scene that has the potential to show the effect of words, especially in regards to the theme of divorce the movie attempts to explore. Unfortunately, most of the movie involves the characters going from one uninteresting and unimaginative place to the next. As a result of that, I was completely bored for the large majority of Spellbound. I just never became invested in the story, the characters, and the predicament they were in. To me, it felt a lot like those sorts of animated movies from the 80s and 90s that tried to emulate the Disney formula and just felt like a shameless copy with little unique identity of their own. What's particularly disappointing is with a lot of the talent involved in Spellbound, this could have been something special. In addition to Vicky Jensen and John Lasseter, other people involved in the movie's making were Linda Wolverton, Rich Moore, Jim Reardon, and Brian Pimentel. Their combined list of credentials should have resulted in something a lot more clever, funny, heartfelt, and creative. Instead, despite the several years it spent in development and production, Spellbound feels a lot like a first draft, where the writers are still trying to figure out the personalities of the characters and how to best introduce this world and explore its themes. John Lasseter was hired to run Skydance Animation because of his association with Pixar and Disney Animation, and yet, despite bringing some of the filmmakers from those studios over there, their first two films lack that magic. I still hold out hope that something good can come out of Skydance Animation, but the filmmakers need to figure out a way to tell stories that feel a lot less routine and better able to tackle the themes they're trying to convey.